This is J. Krishnamurti's fifth discussion with teachers at Brockwood Park, 1974.
What do we start on?
Could we look at where the difficulty was arising yesterday in getting together or understanding the point of learning? We went back to listening.
What did we say? I more or less forgot it.
Well, we were looking together at listening, looking, and then the issue of what is learning.
Yes. I think we were saying one way is learning a mechanical process. Storing up information as knowledge in memory and the skill in operation of that memory. That is what's generally called learning, if I'm not mistaken. And we asked if there is any other kind of learning which is non-accumulative, non-mechanical. We are educated to be mechanical. And the mechanical way of life, perhaps occasional breakdown in that mechanism and therefore inquire into something else. That's the way of our life, of our education, of our daily activity. The cultivation of memory and the operation of that memory as skillfully as possible. And if we live in that area all the time, which we apparently do, then life becomes mechanical, distorted, destructive, and so on. Now, if one sees that very, very clearly, not in the sense hearing it very clearly, listening to it very clearly, and seeing what is happening in the world, and inside us this mechanical process, including the technological knowledge and all that. And I listen to that very carefully. Not as I would like it to be, not distorting what I listen to. And I see the absolute fact of it, unequivocal fact. Like it is a lovely day. It may rain later on, but it's a lovely day. I listen to that listen to your explanation of the mechanical way of life and mechanical education, mechanical activity, which is gradually breaking down, and therefore breaking down civilization, breaking down the content of the earth, and so on, so on, so on. I listen to that really very carefully.
May I point at something that seems to happen to some of us? That we sense or see that we're listening with this clarity and that there's a sense of insight, but then there's something in the brain that indicates, well, it's going to rain later in your brain. You see, later there won't be that.
No, there can't be. There can be no doubt about it. A poisonous snake, someone has explained it very carefully. There's a poisonous snake. Look at its tail, it's a rattler, and it's deadly. And you are aware of the pattern of the head, the diamond-shaped head, and the whole thing of it. You follow? You have explained to me, and I can't forget it. I can't say, well, I pick it up tomorrow, it's another day, and pick it up, and then follow. It is stamped in my mind. So I can't go back to it. That's why I've listened to you with greatest attention, with greatest inquiry, with a feeling that you are telling me something that's so obvious that I've overlooked because it's obvious, I've not looked at it. Because it is simple, I've discarded it. So you telling me that informs not only my active brain, but also the unconscious brain, the unconscious part of that area. And I listen to it very, very carefully. And tomorrow, someone comes along and says, no, it's not mechanical. That area of the brain is extraordinarily creative, extraordinarily free. So I examine it. I don't discard it. I say, is it free? Is it creative? And what do we mean by creative? A further development of the known. Is that creative? Further exploitation of the known, further expansion, further objective looking, and so on, so on. Is that creative? And is that freedom? So I haven't stopped inquiring. I listen to what the other fellow has to say very carefully too. So after this inquiry, nobody can distort that fact that that area of the brain has become mechanical. And I further inquire, if that is mechanical, is the whole of the brain mechanical? Or only one area of the brain? I don't know. So I'm inquiring, I'm looking. I'm listening to what has been explained, and I have an insight into it, and I see the truth of it, not my opinion about it. I see the truth of it, and then I begin to look. If they ask if there is a totally different area which is not non-mechanical. So you have explained all that to me. And is there an area which is non-mechanical? How do I find out? The religious people say right through the world that there is a part in you which is non-mechanical. God, soul, Atman, Brahman, all kinds of names they have given, the higher consciousness, the supreme consciousness, the higher self, and so on. I don't know anything about it. They have said it. They may be under an illusion. I won't accept it. Because I don't see, you assume there is something. And that assumption is based on your pleasure, fear, or your despair and hope. So I don't fall into that trap. Right? So I really don't know. So I can then begin to inquire. I can then look. Mind can look if there is an area which is not mechanical, contaminated by the mechanical education of life. What's the next question?
I think someone would like to ask, how do you see this not, how do you be this not knowing without incorrectly arriving somehow?
I don't know. I mean, that's a fairly honest statement. I really don't know. If one doesn't know, one can say, I really don't know if there's any part of the brain which is non-mechanical. I know the area which is mechanical, but that's a fact. I know it. I've looked at it. You have explained to me a dozen times. And I've gone beyond the word, and I see the fact in myself. And therefore I say, I really don't know if there is an area where thought has not entered at all. Thought being mechanical, and so on. Now, how do I, as an educator, convey all this to the student? I'm sorry to come back to it, because that's what we have got to face next week. We've said we have to create an atmosphere. I'm sorry to go back to that. An atmosphere which is a natural outcome of a group of people 2 or 10 or 15, a group of people who are embedded in this I don't want to use the word truth, in this way of life. That is, that their security is not in belief in ideals, in concepts, but their security is that intelligence which comes, which is awakened, which comes with the act of listening, with the art of listening, the art of seeing, with the art of learning. I don't.
So can I just go back to what you were saying before? You said you really don't know if there is something non-mechanical. But doesn't one have some intimation, some glimpses of something?
That may be one's own conditioning, that may be one's own desire, one's own illusion, one's own wish. I have to discard everything. That atmosphere, I'm sorry, I must go back to that, of a group of people who are highly, in the sense we are using that word, intelligent, non-emotional, non-personal, because intelligence has nothing to do with persons. And they are embedded in that. And that does create an atmosphere. And the sense of welcome, which the student must feel the moment he arrives into this atmosphere. Can we create this thing, bring it about? Not one or two, but as a community of people, as a group of people who have learned the art not having learned, but are learning the art of all that. And thereby give the sense of that it is their home, their place, that we are all working together. All that's involved with that. Now can we create it? Can we bring this about? And how is one or a group of people to translate this to the student? Not in 10 days' time or at the end of the year, but at the very first moment of entry into this house or into this quality of people. Come on, sir, I'm talking about it. Suppose you say you have to do it this, or your head will be chopped off. It's your responsibility. It's your, I won't use the Sanskrit word dharma, it is yours. You've got to do this. It's your baby, you can't kill it. You can't neglect it. You have to be very diligent. So what will you do? So what will you do?
In the urgency and in not carrying my own...
No, I'm not
emotions.
interested in that.
Yeah.
Sorry. What are you going to do with the baby? Don't tell the baby I'm not interested. There it is. The car's arrived from the nursing home or from the hospital. And you're going to face this next week. People, boys and students from America, Holland, England, you follow, all over the place, being conditioned with their own peculiar grouches, hurts and happiness, enjoyment. Oh, that is going to be dumped on your door tomorrow, next week. How are you going to meet this? You can't say, wait. I have to correct myself. Wait. I have to see this awakening of this listening. I must learn it. The baby wants food. You followed crying. You can't wait. Come on, sir.
See, right here, I don't feel the inadequacy that you're indicating, you're hinting at.
I'm not saying you're inadequate. I'm not saying it's there. You follow? Next week, the whole thing is dumped on here. What are you going to do?
Well, right now, it would seem I would have to assume the quality of that being dumped on me.
Why assume? It's there. It's happening, old boy. Don't assume anything. It's a fact.
In that case, I would look at my mind right now.
I'm one of your students. I've come from Jamaica or from Indonesia or from America. I'm one of the students. And I come to this. Have you created within this week this atmosphere, this sense of indestructible security? Not an idea, follow all that. A sense of total welcome and care. Have you created it for me to come into it and say, "Bye, feel it"? That you're going to look after my food, my clothes, the way I walk, the way I talk, how I sit at the table, how I listen to you, what I do, how I play, everything.
wait for 1 week, I think.
Huh?
You have to do it immediately.
And
You could
wait,
do it.
no, good enough.
I
think the way you put your question rather stumps a number of people, because they immediately start scratching their heads and saying, that child is in front of me, do I do this, shall I try this, shall I try that? Whereas the implication of your question really is the attitude there?
Yeah. Is the clarity there?
That's what I mean. It would seem that.
Wait,
Yeah.
is the clarity there in you? So that you tell me how to listen. I learned from you the art of listening.
But I feel now that if I proceeded into the art of listening with you now at this moment, that you would stop me in some way.
I won't stop you. I'm your student. And I want to know, are you absolutely clear about this? So that your stability, your clarity, your sense of care from my toenails to my hair to a sense of that you have this feeling that under any cost this intelligence must be awakened in me.
And in me.
Oh,
But you see that this is the condition, See, I need to act with what I am at this moment, but without the conditioning or my wants or my emotions being what's guiding me.
Sir, look, that's not my problem. You're not my problem. The problem is how are you going to deal with that, with those students that arrive. Not after 5 years, that atmosphere, that sense of clarity doesn't exist at Brockwood. I don't know. It may exist. You follow? Perhaps it does. I hope it does. And I'm asking, if that clarity isn't there now with you, what will you do? Wait till you have that relationship with the student, discuss, interact.
No.
I mean,
No, but at this moment, it's an interaction with us here.
yes.
So what will we do now with that same question?
You see, sir, they come here with sloppy minds, sloppy dress, sloppy outlook, laissez-aller, And you've got to stop it. You follow? So that they are... So how will you do all this? God, I don't know. You've got a lot of work to do.
You want us to talk about what we're going to do, or to demonstrate it?
Huh? You're going to talk about what?
Do you want us to talk about what we're going to do when they come, or do you want us to demonstrate now what we'll do when they come?
Who's demonstrated?
The people in this room.
Yes. Will you demonstrate it, show us or to each other if this clarity exists? Not only, clarity, all around.
Well, how can we demonstrate? How can we demonstrate
yes,
clarity?
Not demonstrate, sir. That's I don't.
Live it.
What's that?
Live it.
Huh?
Live it.
No, yes, live it. No, Mr. Joe wants something else. He says, can we show to each other, help each other now, sitting in this room, what we mean by clarity? Show it. Verbally, feeling, everything. Put it on, as it were, on a table and look. That's what calls demonstrating. Go on, sir.
How can we reveal? How can?
I don't know. You want to demonstrate it. I think you can, sir. I think we can explore together, together, the implication of freeing the mind, the brain, all the rest of the brain, from its own conditioning, right? I think we can go into that. And I could talk to the students about it. I know what I would say.
This is a discussion now.
Huh?
This is a discussion.
Of course.
Are you saying that in the discussion the clarity will
Must
be evident?
Yes. The clarity must blossom in dialogue, in talking together, talking over things with the students, with you and I. The thing will naturally flower if we are serious, all the rest of it. That's why have I listened to the events of the world, not the various daily events, kidnapping and the Japanese hijacking and all the rest of it. But have I listened to the world in tremendous turmoil, confusion, always operating in the field of the known and trying to alter the pieces there? Have I listened to all that? And if I've listened to all that very carefully, in the right sense, I'm no longer caught in that. Because I've listened you telling me that it is a rattler, a cobra, a viper. Be careful. And you've shown me the coloration, the pattern, the head of the whole snake, how dangerous it is. And I've listened to you because you're something very dangerous you have pointed out to me. And there are plenty of snakes around me. So I must be tremendously watchful. So in the same way, you have explained to me this chaos in the world, and I've really seen the danger of it. And I can communicate that to the student, obviously.
There's I think we have to clarify a point right here. If we present to the student a view of the world, we have to be careful not to propagandize.
No.
I mean, it's not propaganda to present a poisonous snake as dangerous.
No.
But if you don't fully understand this point...
Of course. It all depends how I do it. I may be committed to communism with a cover of capitalism and convey my communistic dialecticism, materialism and all the rest of it, and gradually do proper. That's not listening to the whole world. I don't know.
Sure. But the students, most of them, I think, have a very... They hardly know anything outside of their immediate families and countries.
Of course. And therefore I have to educate them.
But we have to do two things. We have to present facts,
yes,
without filtering them.
Of course.
And then
listen to the fact.
Well, they have to learn how to listen to facts.
Therefore I begin.
But there's also the problem of listening to the facts, and then from the facts inferring conclusions.
No, and therefore you follow. I go into all that, not only amongst ourselves, but also with the students. I hope it'll be a nice day like this when they come next week.
So it's a matter of meeting the student on his level of, in the sense of what is fact to him. What can we use?
But he'll put what facts. He says, I want something or other. He has no facts.
No, it's something like the snake, something that you can.
Yes, but that's
share.
very demonstrable fact. That is a snake.
Yes,
Be
it's
careful.
far more demonstrable than the insanity of the world to a 13-year-old.
You see, to convey to me or to student, a fact which is not as demonstrable as a snake. That is, a fact that where there is division between people as nationality, this, that... Huh?
May I disagree? Why isn't it as demonstrable as...
I tell you, because you're dealing with with prejudices.
Are you referring to the child's mind or to our mind?
To the boy's mind, to the student's mind. He said, how do you know, sir? How do you say? Why do you say? Then you follow. A snake is observable.
Yes. But shouldn't what you're pointing out or working with the child about to yourself be as clear a fact as this?
Of course.
Snake?
So, physical danger, one sees very clearly. A precipice, a snake, a tiger, a bus coming, rushing at you. But psychological dangers, like nationalism, like sectarianism, beliefs that divide people, or so-called unite people around a belief. Those are very difficult to demonstrate in the sense, like the snake. You can describe it. You can say, look what is happening between the Jews and the Arabs. The Hindu-Muslim. You follow? You can show it, but it's not as observable as a snake.
But it's not as observable as a snake within the ordinary context of the observation.
Yes.
Within a clearer context of observation.
Of course. Now come back. So what are we talking about now?
Mr. Joe was talking about propagandizing. He says we can't propagandize. And you talked about the communist and the capitalist. But the problem with that is surely that both of those are ideologies. What we're talking about is something which is not an ideology.
But when you use, we must be careful of propaganda. That's what we're talking,
What I'm saying is I think it's rather easy to get caught in putting things over as ideas without the clarity.
Just it. The group of us here, can we experiment with this very simple thing, which is hearing a statement and not draw a conclusion out of it, an idea, or make an idea of it. You understand what I'm saying? Can you do that? Hear a statement very clearly explained and let it soak into you without a conclusion being formed out of that. I can't think of an example. Take one, think about it. Make a statement which is true, not just invented. All right. Belief divides people. Right? My belief, your belief. I believe in God, I don't believe in God. You follow? Belief divides people.
Don't we have to say separate beliefs?
They call it separate beliefs. Separate beliefs. Beliefs never unite people either.
No, but That's not as clear.
Then the believer might say non-believers create separation.
Here we are, I'm talking, wait. Oh, for God's sake, don't go off. Here we are, I'm saying, now I want you make a statement that belief in nationalism, belief in God, belief in a particular ideal, or belief in communist system of economy or this or that, obviously divides people.
Why not have the sentence, listening can be without interpretation?
Can you listen to it without interpretation, without saying, what shall I do? Or just listen to it and not draw a conclusion, an abstraction.
Yet to derive at the truth of the statement, we're presuming the statement is true, but...
It is true to me.
Yes, but say a student...
I'm making a statement which to me is true.
But suppose you're hearing a statement a first time, you've never looked at it. So one has to derive
I'll
the
explain
truth.
it. I said, look what is happening with their beliefs and traditions in India. The Indians and the Muslims eternally war at each other, encouraged by others, and so on, so on, so on.
But isn't this diverting from state?
No, you made a statement. You hear it for the first time.
Yes.
Therefore, I have to explain to you what it means. And I take great pains to explain historically and so on, all that is involved in holding on to one's beliefs. How you act, how it's supposed to give you security, but it doesn't. It is an illusion in which you are hoping to find security, and therefore it's neurotic. And so on. I explained it completely as much as I can within a certain period. I can't explain for the rest. So,
but if I hold a conflicting belief, I mean, if I don't believe that, if I believe a statement that conflicts with yours about division with people with different beliefs, I may keep raising objections in my mind to what you say or misinterpret.
I explained to you. Put it out. Come with. Explain to me your objections.
Right, so you then engage me in
of course.
in an honest.
Listen to what I have to say. I'm the God. I'm the oracle. I want to know what you think. So, in discussing, in having a dialogue with each other, talking things over together, we all I see clearly. Then I said to you, after explaining lots of it, I said, don't have a belief. Belief is destructive. Can you listen to that statement? Belief is destructive without making it into an idea. Because after all, these students are coming with full of ideas. Short hair, long hair, dirty shoes, why can't I walk barefoot, and God knows what else.
Well, if a person has a belief because of certain reasons in his mind...
I question it.
Right. Then he can if he can expose those reasons, then it can be looked at.
Of course.
What if the person has this belief without a reason? Then what occurs?
Then if he has belief without reason, either he's obstinate, either he's so frightened.
You can make him see that he's believing it without a reason.
Reason, of course. He's the captive audience. You've got him under your thumb. Now that's what I'm saying. Now, just a minute. We have explained belief divides people, right? Therefore, belief is destructive brings antagonism, breeds hatred, conflict, wars, belief being I am an Englishman, you are a, and so on, so on, so on. So I say after explaining all this to you, I say, don't have beliefs.
So I may see that very clearly.
Wait. Just a minute. Can you listen to it? And the ending of that belief in that act of listening, in the art of listening. That's my point. If it doesn't end, you are still carrying on with ideation. You follow? You're still carrying on with an abstraction that we must end it.
Which is another belief.
Of course. I don't know if I've conveyed it.
Which is a kind of conclusion.
What?
Just saying that I must end belief is a conclusion.
No, it's not a conclusion. I've explained to you the snake. Look at its head. If it has a triangular head, it's a dangerous snake. If it has got a rattler, a gentleman snake, be awfully careful. Don't go near it. Because I show you people have been killed and all, etc., etc. And I show it to you. Either you listen because you are concerned not to be killed, not to get hurt, or you listen because you want to find out. So you listen. And then you say, well, all right, I know rattlers, cobras for the rest of my life. I won't go near them. Now, in the same way, I show it to you that belief separates people. My kingdom, your kingdom, my God, your God, my theory and your theory, and so on, so on. I explain all that to you, and I say, look, such belief destroys people. Now, has your belief ended? Being Englishman, American, whatever it, Catholic, Protestant, communist, socialist, all that, belief. If it has not ended, then you have not listened to the verbal explanation. So I go back and I say, listen very carefully, I'll explain again. I go into it. I show you what is happening in India, in Japan, in China, how Mao's theory against Lenin's theory, you follow? I shall point out as much as I can, and I hope you are listening to it. At the end of it, I say, see what this belief has done in the world. And does that belief end there with you? Otherwise, what's the point of listening? You follow? But with the snake you have listened. And therefore you don't see the danger of belief. If you saw the danger of belief, you would end it as you would not touch a cobra, a viper.
Obviously, you need to have a sensitivity to what the child is more prone to.
Yes, I'm talking to you. I've said to you, Ted, do you see, have you listened to the explanation of the division that takes place through beliefs which brings about conflict, wars and destruction, violence? Have you listened to that? And if you have listened, you have dropped belief. You follow? Belief, opinion, judgment, you've dropped it. It's no longer there.
Isn't the case of the cobra still belief? Because what if someone tells you that this snake with a rattle is harmless? Pick it up.
Go and play with it then, you'll soon find out.
But it may be too late when you...
Don't say, well, the bus is rushing towards you, and you say, that's just a belief. Don't wait there.
I think when you explain the snake, you point out his fangs and the poison that's in them, and it becomes very evident from the structure that...
Of course, it becomes very evident.
There's no way out of it. But it doesn't seem to be so evident from the
That's all I'm trying to
the
do.
other one.
The other one isn't evident because we are so conditioned. And I say, don't bother about your conditioning. You're conditioned, but listen to what the other fellow has to say. And when you listen, that conditioning must end.
Would it clarify or confuse at this point if I asked you if you believe all this? You believe it?
What do you mean believe? What?
Do you believe what you've just told us?
Believe, I don't believe.
You don't believe it?
I don't believe it.
It's not in the
It
area
is so.
of
What is
belief.
there to believe?
Fine.
I mean, I don't believe that's a cobra. It is a cobra. It is a viper. It is a rattler. I don't believe it's a lovely day. It is a lovely day.
But Krishnamurti, won't they immediately say if there's nothing to believe, what is there to go by? What young people always ask.
You have gone. Look, no, there are stupid people who ask, what am I to go by? You have gone by belief and you have produced this. You have... No.
What Annika was suggesting is a conclusion.
Of course it is, but I've got to break that down.
Just facts to go by, but in the way of finding out what one is...
Wait, you have gone by the church. It is belief. It has landed you in nowhere. You made society as the most, etc. I say, at the end of all this, where are you? You have believed in this and believed in that and believed in a dozen things. At the end of it, where are you? You are in a lunatic asylum. So, the desire to go by something, which means guided by something, is unintelligent.
Yes, but you see, belief is so obvious, but there are so many things we go by because we don't know. Somebody tells me this is, say poison is not good for your health, or we go by so many things.
No, I don't.
That we don't
I
know.
don't. Somebody tells me, eat a lot of yogurt, it's awfully good for you. I tried for a few days, and I find, by Jove, it's so good after all, I drop it.
So you mean to say only go by facts?
Obviously.
Find out for yourself what facts.
No, I don't have to try all the facts out, because I'll take all the rest of my life. But I can see certain facts. To live by ideals is the lunatic way of living. And if you don't have ideals, what will you guide yourself with or by? So you substitute, instead of an ideal, a piece of stone, God knows what. So don't substitute. See the falseness of it. When you see the falseness of it, you see the truth of it. Seeing the truth of it is intelligent. Intelligence will be your guide. Full stop. Sorry.
When you've seen the facts of nationalism and all that, have you finished with belief? But doesn't belief go very much deeper?
It does. Belief in myself.
Exactly. Isn't it?
Belief in my capacity. Belief in I have tremendous confidence. right? Belief implies not only belief in something outside, but also deep inside. I've pushed it all out. Because all that's implied in belief. Because Ted has explained to me, belief is division of people, belief in myself as a great man or a little man, belief that I'm this and that and the other. So he says, take all that into consideration. Not just one belief of nationalism. Take the whole basket of it.
There's something like systems, economic systems. They're very, like the communists or the capitalists. To take a simple example, they go by something. They think it's because it's too complicated to see.
That's why they never meet.
One of the great believers, Paul, gave himself away by saying belief is the substance of things hoped for.
Yeah, hoped
and
for.
Didn't realise that he'd given the whole situation away.
I know. Substance of things hoped for. St. Paul. I mean, the communists have their system of economy. The capitalists have their system, and the socialists. Now, if they drop their systems and say, look, let's all get together, how to solve this problem, they would solve it. But my system is better than your system. Oh, well, that's so simple. So after explaining all this, not only the outward beliefs and the inward beliefs, the belief in myself as being intelligent, belief in myself as being capable. I am capable of facing life. All kinds of beliefs about myself. You have explained that. You have explained how historically beliefs have brought wars. Catholics have had 100 years war. The Protestant, the Muslims, and so on. So you explained that. And I listened, you have taught me the art of listening. I'm learning it. Therefore, when you explain all this, I see it. And naturally it goes. As naturally as when I see that rattler, that cobra, whatever that snake is, it's dangerous. Therefore, I don't finish. No amount of somebody say, no, my friend, that's not a cobra, that's just a green rope. I was walking once in Madras, in a wood, and there was a snake just going across. It was long, fat, lazy snake. You could see it had eaten a lot of frogs, and so could see it. And it went across. So I said, I don't know what it was, so I followed it. Quite close. I was on top of it, and I was following it. And it went all over the place. I went all over the place, climbed, and the villagers standing by, they said, for God's sake, call him back. That's a cobra. You follow? I didn't know. I wasn't frightened. But the moment he said cobra, I kept looking and watching. If he would raise its head, he didn't. So I gradually went away. But you follow? The moment you realize something dangerous, you're finished.
Possibly wasn't a hungry
Huh?
cobra.
No. Cobras, they have nothing to do with hunger. They are as frightened as you are. So, See, I've listened to all this to myself. I'm full of it. I don't know and I don't want any more talking about it. I'm full of it. So when they come, I'm bursting with it. But stop early, don't you? Rather nice, isn't it? Stop early.
Can I present one?
Yes, sir.
One more situation. I can see it happening that you can explain danger to some person, danger of a precipice or danger of driving too fast, and but yet the person already knows the danger. And it's the very danger that attracts them. They like the feeling of it, the adrenaline, the heart beating faster.
Yes.
They like the excitement of the danger.
Yes.
And everything else in comparison is,
yes, I understand.
is dull.
So you are saying danger has its attraction.
For some people it seems to do that.
Like those people who climb the Everest, go up, go racing round and round, willing to destroy themselves. Now, they won't listen to you, will they?
Not listen in the way you...
No, they won't listen to you. Hey, I like this. So what are you going to do with such people? You leave them alone. Exactly.
Can you make a strict demarcation between such people and people who will listen?
No, but sir, you are willing to listen here. If you weren't willing to listen, you wouldn't be here. And the same with those students are, perhaps some of them are willing to listen. So you know, I mean, talk to a general, I have, about war. He says, what the devil are you talking about? All his military train comes on top. He wants to kick you.
You can just leave the general alone, but what about the students that won't listen? We can't just send them
They said they are your captive audience, so you got them under your... You got them. Right, I think we better stop it.